With Rocky's recent success in sinking the Aguila, he came to Ron with the idea to sink another one of his boats, the Halliburton 211, this time on Utila. It did not take Ron long to realize what a great idea this was for the island.
Well, he actually came to me, he approached me, and he said, let's make a dive rig out of it. And after a few weeks thinking about it, and I said, yeah, let's do it.
The Halliburton 211 is a cargo boat that ran freight on the Gulf Coast. As the way goes with all boats, her time had come and gone, and she was scuttled.
The Halliburton, Ron got involved with the Halliburton because a mutual friend of ours, Rocky Jones, owned this ship that he wasn't going to refit and he wanted to sell for $60,000. Ron got the idea to do an artificial reef program, and with Jim Engel from the lodge.
Enter Jim Engel. Jim Engel was a rodeo cowboy and dive shop operator from Minot, North Dakota, another diving mecca. Jim bore a gruff demeanor but had a heart of gold. Jim and his wife Kirsty bought the Utila Lodge in the early 1990s and upended their family and moved the whole lot, kit and caboodle, down to Utila and never looked back.
We just came in and did the best that we could. The occupancy rate was bad because nobody came here, nobody knew about Utila.
So Ron acquired the Halliburton on behalf of the Utila Dive Operators Association. This was a remarkable feat in itself, for in those days, competition was fierce. Agreements were hard to reach and harder still to maintain.
Okay, we used to have dive shop meetings at different places. Whenever the prices would get too low, they would get to ridiculous prices, $79 for an open water course with 4 nights accommodation, 8 dives.
That's very, very true. I mean, price wars was like the thing then, So no, you could never get any dive shop owner to agree with the other.
Yeah, some serious competition going on, we ended up even on the end $99 for 2 days, courses and things like that.
The rec did bring the 12 shops together and everybody agreed on it and everybody participated in it, so that was a cool thing.
The unanimous agreement that buying and sinking the Halliburton was indeed a worthwhile idea, and then moving forward together, was as if the heavens had actually opened up and choirs of angels burst forth in song. For such was the nature of this coalition that they could never, ever agree on anything.
It seemed like at that time everybody was working together. I went to Tegucigalpa, got the environmental permits.
This guy was from one of these environmental institutions, so he had to find a spot, or he had to approve the spot, make an environmental study, impact study or something like that. And so we had to pay all this expense. I think it was something like $1,200–1,300 to bring him down here. And then we had to take him out for a dive. So the guy, of course, never had the tank on his whole. He never had a tank. So I just gave him 40 or 50 pounds on the tank, and we dropped him in the sand, and we just keep spinning around, pretending we were looking at the compass. And when we went up to the surface, he said, "Yeah, that's a good spot." And then we sunk it on a different spot.
They set about the task of readying the boat for her last voyage, cutting holes for easy entry and exits to hold areas, removing wires and cables that could cause entanglement, reminders to divers to be aware. No stone was left unturned.
Jim, I understand you've already broken a couple of ropes here.
Yep, start with we broke 2. Got better ropes on it now.
What is going on? The whole island's excited and talking about
First we have to get this boat off.
Upright and proud, and pretty much floating, the Halliburton 211 made her heroic last voyage to Lighthouse Reef.
Yes, actually I had to come out and captain the Tonya C. Mr. Joni Cooper lent us the Tonya C. The Tonya C 2.
On the day that we sunk the Halliburton, there were probably 200 people or so in small boats on the surface watching the Halliburton go down.
So I think any boat that was steaming around in Utila was present. Maybe there were 100, 200 people easy down there.
2 buoys for her bow and stern were readied, and the 4-point anchoring system to guide her descent was placed.
In a few minutes, we'll be dropping the anchor, hopefully about 150, 200 feet away from the position.
Yeah, so I want to be a little bit more on this side.
And this is what I remember of that day. So I bikes in with my little tug, you know, and I makes the sign, "What are you doing?" Like, "Get off the boat," you know. He says, "My pumps are in the engine room." So I go like, "What?" So there he goes, there he works on his, but anyway, he gets his pumps out. I bikes the little boat in, and he steps off, and I tell you, she had about 1 foot of freeboard.
Me and Jim were the 2 last ones standing on the boat, just before, you know, she went like the Titanic.
To document this event, 2 morons decided it would be good to be under a sinking ship with cameras. Holding at about 20 feet under the boat and looking up into the sun and a shoal of thimble jellyfish, barely able to discern the hull at all, they waited for the boat to go down. It only made sense for us to be in the water under the Halliburton with video cameras to film its ultimate descent. So there we were, more or less under the boat. There were a lot of thimble jellyfish in the water that day, and the visibility really wasn't very good. Sky and I were probably 20 or 30 feet deep, looking up, looking around for the boat, and we really couldn't see it. Starting slowly, the Halliburton gained momentum and suddenly breached the water and went down like a ton of bricks, with a cascade of bubbles and our 2 moron divers in her wake. And when she hit the ground, it was as if a volcano had erupted. She landed beautifully right in a sand patch, missed the reef completely, landed upright.
Looked like a volcano had erupted, you know. When a ship hit the bottom of the ocean, it left a cloud of dust from the bottom, and it was so amazing.
Under the cloud of rubble, eerie images of this new life, this new place, this new world were quite breathtaking, as if she was being transformed right before our eyes.
Yeah, and then the wheelhouse is 60 feet and the bottom is, I think, 105 feet on the deepest point in the bow. And almost straight, maybe in a slight angle, not much. It actually makes it even nicer, the slight angle.
The thing I remember best about our first dive on the Halliburton was swimming down through this rubble shower and getting beneath it. And all of a sudden the visibility opened up and you could really see the wreck. And that's when it struck me, wow, this is an awesome addition to the Utila diving community.